Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and a link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show increases the live audience, of course, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you are new to the channel or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Arwin and Nummy. How are you both doing, gentlemen?
Great. How's it going?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, it was an interesting show yesterday.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
I thought it was terrible. There was very little Flat Earth. Lots of talk about crazy stuff. Couldn't keep control of the Flat Earth subject.
Yeah, well, you need more ballers for that.
More what? More ballers?
Yeah, they keep us tied to countering stupid ball arguments.
Yeah, occasionally when there's not enough ballers around, the Flat Earthers start at each other's necks. But that all changes as soon as a baller comes in.
Yeah. We're like trained fighting dogs in a pit. If you don't throw us a bone, we're gonna
rip each other apart.
Yep.
Well, it is a debate show after all, right? You know, so as long as we can keep our keep perspective on the subject at hand and not take things too personally, it's all good.
Sometimes it surprises me how well the ballers are united, how they'll agree on certain subjects that you just wouldn't expect them to, but yet they've got a united front. They all seem to have the same answer, which I don't know if that's just because it's all from the mainstream or all from one narrative that they're pooling their information.
That is what religion does, you know. It makes it very easy. You just have to stick to the narrative, whatever it may be. And we're all individuals trying to figure it out. And we have characters and we want honor for inventions, for discoveries. So we're going to naturally take our own courses. They'll conflict. Well, they just have to stick to the narrative.
Seems like there's a lot of consensus building behind the scenes on their part. I get the sense that, you know, when they do have dissenting opinions, that they get that sorted out rather quickly in their discords or whatever it is.
Oh yeah, they grill each other, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, don't go there.
Yeah, they coach each other.
Yep.
But you know, we have shown that there have been some pretty major disagreements between them, and recently, like there was the Rumpus disagreeing with someone else over Anthony's footage, right?
Charles.
About whether they could see the floaty land or not.
Oh, right. Yeah, who was it? Sly Sparkane said he couldn't see the floaty land at all. Rumpus said he could.
And then Ruhif and Flat Earth Math disagreed about what the cause of the atmosphere rotating with the Earth was. Ruhif thought it was drag friction with the ground, while Flat Earth Math claims that it's the lack of friction with the vacuum of space that causes the atmosphere to rotate with the Earth.
Just for clarity, the Coriolis effect dictates that they do not rotate together. They are independent of each other, independent reference frames, and that is what causes the Coriolis effect to begin with. So to be arguing about what causes the atmosphere to be dragged along is kind of nonsense when they are, by definition, individual reference frames.
Yeah, well, that's a very mixed up area of globe Earth doctrine that I think is, you know, would be hard pressed to find a unified explanation for.
I think I have a good explanation for it, and that is they're both very much stationary. Solves a lot of problems.
Anything wrong with the Hangout link? I've got a few people saying something wrong with it in Masturbators. You guys got in all right? You guys got in through that link, right?
Yeah.
I'm sniping them all out. It's just me and Nami today. No. I don't
I've
know.
actually stuck it out publicly lit, so if one of you can grab the back door, I'll stick it out in a minute.
I don't know how to do that, so Arwen, you better do that.
I got it covered.
Okay. You guys you still need to show me how to anti-snipe sometime.
I don't actually know how to do it, if I'm honest.
I'll
I don't know how to snipe, honestly.
Yeah, you'll have to ask me tomorrow before the show.
Okay.
I'll explain.
No, I went to great extremes to figure out how to not be in a position to be sniped in the first place. So as much as that's great for me, you know, everyone in the Hangout could get sniped completely, but I'd still remain. In other words, the show continues, but that means that I'm not in a position to snipe if I can't be sniped. So I've had no necessity to learn. Hey, Haunted, good to have you.
Haunted House reporting for debate duty.
What's up, man?
Good to have
What's
you.
going on, gentlemen?
Not
I come
much.
with some knowledge that's gonna bother and put to bed the whole refraction issue finally.
Okay.
Drop it, man.
But then again, everybody loves their refraction arguments.
Well, we pretty much had a change of view in the
Well,
course of the last week. Did you see yesterday and the day before show?
no.
Oh, you missed something.
This may coincide with that then. But basically, when I was younger in school and when I learned about refraction, it was that picture of the pencil or a pen stuck in like a glass of water, and the pen was like shifted over to the bottom, shifted over to the right or the left a little bit. Like it looked like it was cut in half. We've all seen that picture before.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, we know what a pencil looks like. You know, we know what the pencil looks like.
Sorry, can you hear me? Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hey, Spurs, good to have you.
Yeah.
Sorry, hold on.
We know what that thing looks like before it's put into the glass of water. But here we are dealing with
Is
Mark.
this,
here we are dealing with the ocean, which we're unsure with what it looks like. We're stating refraction after the fact. You guys feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. You're trying to, with the pencil, it's quantifiable. You can understand that the line
Right.
stops and ends with the refraction. Whereas when you're talking about the ocean, which is completely non-linear, totally non-uniform,
Right.
how are you
it's
supposed
a
to
very
quantify
different
that?
state.
We
They're
don't have a
different
reference.
states because in an aquarium, you have a very clear cut, edge that you're looking through. It's like, and the refraction rate between air and water and the glass even is extremely different. So that'll give a very heavy effect, while the workings in air is just much.
I don't know. I don't think you're getting my point. The point is we have like a reference point. We know what that pencil looks like before it's quote unquote refracted. But the ocean, on the other hand, we're saying is refracted, but we don't know what a non-refracted ocean looks like.
Hey, Ranty.
Or these pictures, the pictures of these
I don't
shots,
think there's
like the picture on screen right now. We don't know what a
Yeah.
non-refracted, but we're saying it's refracted.
Yeah, there's no evidence that this refraction even works the way that they're describing, though, that it can.
That's why I think it's a bad argument. I think it's
Yeah, for
for
sure.
both sides. It's a very technical. It's hard to know. It's hard to really pin down.
Well, I've been saying for the longest time, you remove the atmosphere, the sun doesn't go down, ships don't go down, things don't disappear bottom first, because they're on a flat Earth. I've always asked the boilers, well, how do they imagine things to happen on a flat Earth? Like, what difference? And they can't explain it. They can't answer that because they don't have an area without atmosphere and a flat.
I'm here.
Hey, Jose.
Hey, how you doing? I'll
have
be
you.
in the background, hanging out here.
No worries.
So I think we're understanding, the horizon, refraction, atmosphere, light, a lot better than we ever have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that in retrospect, the whole refraction thing is just insignificant compared to other effects. It's a slight displacement of the entire image, and it's not that gradual. I think that diffraction is pretty much the solution to the slanting effect and other effects.
Hey,
Hello,
chocolate.
Chocolate Saint.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
You. What's up, fellas?
Who's
Yeah,
that?
especially because of the footage of Ranty's and uh, and Riley's footage
Yeah.
of really low down. Suddenly, a lot of the effects go away, and there's even you bypass the slant. We called it looking underneath the blanket, and yeah, it's spectacular.
Yeah,
So
I was
if you
talking
Have
about
you
it.
had an
have to
explanation
take a look.
from Rumpus on that? Ranty. Have you heard from the Rumpus?
No, not at all. No, I've heard from nobody. Nobody really wants to get involved with it. To be fair,
Well, it needs
hiding to
pushing
nothing of
more,
it.
Ranty. It needs highlighting even more. I was discussing it with Anthony last night, and we were saying this is the footage of the year. Your capture. It's as good as it gets, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I think Phil and Rumpus are putting something together. So, again, we should be cautious. Listen to what they may have to say on the. I mean, no doubt that this is good footage, but the fact is they always have something to say. So,
Hmm. Yeah, but they can't. They're completely baffled by what they're seeing currently. So they still have to basically work out the calculations for the hint I gave them, because fractal looming is the only thing that's going to be left. The surreal solution.
I
have to work it out.
I really hope that they come on and debate it, because I think that will strengthen the understanding of the evidence, and will probably make for an even better case to be made for the footage supporting the flat Earth concept.
Yeah, but
I
that's
said
why they don't want to come in.
Sorry. I say the three strongest proponents to make a mathematic explanation of this is the Rumpus, Ruhev, and Phillips, and no word of either one of them, unless they're working together in the back, to jump on it.
That's what I'm saying. You would have thought that would have happened already. Like, where are they?
Right on.
I think that they realize that if they come in and argue it, if they don't have something, if they can't knock it out, that it's just going to make it worse for them, right? Like,
yeah, but they need
if this thing just sits unopposed, it'll actually just die away more quickly than if they come in and argue it, and then people, through seeing the
You're
debate.
right. They might be trying to avoid giving it more attention. I
Yes,
see what you're
but
saying.
they need the slant. They need this optical slant to basically strawman it as being the curvature, and that illusion works a little bit more on the dummies, people that don't really know what's going on. But if it's just completely missing, then they don't have any argument left.
It needs to be changed, and remember that you get children; they're going to learn these things at school. That bought from.
It's a fake. It's a tape recorder.
It seems like that's all they're capable of doing. Is that nonsense, the trolling.
Well, I'm more than happy to actually talk about the image
Here
itself.
comes
if
another
Ranty's prepared to
troll
bring
right
it up.
now.
I
Speaking
know,
of devil.
at least Haunted Houses have seen it. Hey, Sleeping Warrior,
Yeah.
how you doing?
Nathan, have you not got the link to my Google Drive where you can download?
No, I was trying to
these
get it
videos?
this morning. Chris was asking for it, or I was sending some of the screenshots I'd got, but obviously they're quite low res. So I looked for it on the TFR site because I thought it'd be linked below, but it wasn't. I couldn't find it.
Okay, I'll get a shareable link right now, and I'll send it to you right this second. So it'll only take you 5 seconds to download an image if you want to use that.
Sure.
I'll send it in the side chat here, or shall I send it on Skype? Which one?
If you stick it on Skype, I'll stick it straight in the link to this video so people can click below.
Okay.
Hey Nathan, I accidentally kicked Mark Doxy. I thought he was a troll, and he's asking if he can come back in.
Oh no, he'll have to
through
change
Skype.
account if he's not. I'm sure he's got separate accounts, so he'll have to come in on a different account.
I think maybe want to contact Geo, Ranty. He'd be best placed to address this.
Geo Streber.
Geo, yeah, why not?
Address what? Whitley Strieber?
Ranty's image.
What is it to address? There's no curve, there's no bulge, and it's not a ball.
But they usually have something to say.
Well, yeah, because usually
Well, hang on a minute.
we're
They've got
above that
hang
refraction
on a
zone,
minute. They've
aren't
got a queue of stuff to address. They haven't dealt with the floaty land at Isle of Man yet, and that's been going on for 2 weeks now. Rumpus said he'd have that released the minute I released a video.
Yeah, but I think Phil and the Rumpus are actually doing something, but they're deciding where to present it. I think there's a lot of women that are in.
Yeah, but the point was they said they'd do something 2 weeks ago, and they haven't done it.
Well, I was out filming again today, and I saw a boat on the horizon, and noticed it was incredibly small and right next to the wind turbines. I thought, what's that thing doing there? Anyway, I zoomed in, and basically it was a speedboat, right, parked up right next to the wind turbines. I don't know what it was doing there. Anyway, when it started to move and it shot off at some speed. Now, normally we see boats on the horizon that are like chugging along at maybe 10 miles an hour or something. I mean, this thing was trapping, and it was coming from what would appear to be behind the curve through to, in focus kind of thing. But in the footage, it's quite evident that wasn't the case. It was
hold on, Mark.
It's him. It's him.
Oh no! I mean, Riley dropped.
I think it's just restarting.
Yeah,
we can hear you. You're a bit muffled.
Sorry. I'm a bit muffled, am I? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that any better?
It's a nice coconut.
Camera.
Well, anyway, the thing was, it wasn't.
No globe in the house.
No globe.
Oh, we got a full panel.
Good to have you.
It wasn't waves on the horizon. It was air on the horizon that looked like waves. And this boat was going so fast, and because it was pure white, this boat, and it was beyond what I was presuming to be the waves at the horizon. You could actually see, as I was following this boat, you could see that it was just air. It really was just air. What we think is the horizon and the waves at the horizon is not. It's just air. And I've put the video out. I only just uploaded it about half an hour ago. You can actually hear me saying it's actually air.
Can you bring it up?
I still think somebody should get two people, Branty, if you got a friend, get them in a boat and put them out as far as they can go, maybe like a mile out, and you shoot him and he shoots you. And, A/B the pictures, split screen, side by side, just to get an idea of what we're seeing, what the perspective is from the opposite side.
You all see Mark's tripod? I mean?
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
That is cool.
Yes. Very nice.
I want one of them.
How low can you go? Gonna see a lot of this, I'm sure. That's the start of many, Mark.
Oh, that
camera porn.
Really well on the beach.
It is camera porn. Look at that. Look at that. That's just bonkers, isn't it?
If you raise the legs a little bit, you could even put it in the ocean.
Does it fly?
Slightly over the above the waves.
Have the buttons lapped with the water.
Shout out to presuppositional sphere hedgehog.
Oh.
Shout out.
Wow, that's awesome, man. Great idea.
That's cool.
Oh,
Did you get anything, though? Cool. More important than the stand,
man?
Mark. Did you get anything?
Oh, wow, that is awesome.
Wow.
You're giving me ideas now, literally giving me ideas.
Yeah. Hedgehog. Presuppositional.
Flat Earth think
so
tank.
good.
That's cool.
Hello.
I love Flat Earth. I think it's so cool. Things like this are happening.
It's almost like
funny that it's getting
a robot.
to the point. Getting to the point where the ball is really just becoming a joke.
Yeah.
What do you guys think the curve is going to be like? No, not that kind of curve, but like the eventuality of people finally coming to this understanding, because science has been abruptly changed many times before, and so has life, 9/11, things like that. But it's got to go somewhere. I don't know where it's going to go.
I think it will start when the first big debate happens, like the first big globe head scientist, dumbass like Neil
Yeah, but
deGrasse
again,
or
you want to
somebody like that
yeah, but to
gets
be,
destroyed publicly, that'll be at least the beginning
Yeah, but
of
they're never
just
gonna allow that. They're still, as long as the big
Exactly. They
media
wouldn't
companies
risk
have
it. They
control.
wouldn't
that's
risk
the
it.
whole idea of a debate in the ball earthers' mind is that we have flat earth evidence. Yes, so they have their side. We would just debate the ball. So would it be a debate about the ball or about the flat earth? See?
But I think it'll hit a tipping point where the public will demand at some point or another that somebody speak, somebody says something about this shit. Because I mean,
That
what?
I think
How are they going
it's
to
gonna
avoid
take a
this?
long time until we get there.
Yeah, it's going to take a
No,
very long time.
definitely, it's
Listen,
going to take a while. But I mean, look, they're taking polls, they're doing all these things, and the numbers just keep going up and up.
Yeah,
They can't
people are
avoid it.
at least at the point that the masses are starting to entertain it or looking into it. That is a big change from 3 years ago. But
You
before,
presented, Ranty, if you want to play.
Oh right, yeah, sorry. Yeah, this is right at the end of the video. It's just I watched it before and I was just seeing what it looked like. But essentially, it's a nice place to have stopped it because this boat right now, where it's sitting on the real horizon. But can you see this air this is the wake that it's creating? This whitewash behind it is the wake because it's traveling that fast and bumping along. But can you see all this wavy air above it? So, and you actually see it through the whole video. Essentially, what I thought, you would think that that was the waves cresting on the horizon, but it's not. The real horizon is where my cursor is now. And all this is just air. And I'm going to show you the video now. It's just fantastic. Put that on pause.
say refraction blurring or diffraction blurring, I guess. But you can still in the previous picture you see this layer of air being cut off. It's like two different colors. It's like
yeah, but to my
slightly above
eye,
it, suddenly it becomes lighter. So obvious.
yeah, but to my eye, originally, I thought the curve of, well, not the curve of the Earth. I thought the horizon was where that waviness is at the top, and it's not. It's just air. And now it makes perfect sense that when we see things going beyond the curve of the Earth, apparently, essentially it's not. It's that because that isn't where the actual real horizon is. It's just air that's above it that's mimicking the water,
Mirroring.
mimicking it.
Well, not only mimicking it, it's the thing that's causing the actual obstruction itself.
Yeah, it's the air. You can see the air now. Now that you look at it, you can actually, because we've got a boat that's actually trapping along. I mean, it's not one of these ferries that's going at like 10 miles an hour. This boat's, it's making some movements here, and it's nice and white and clear. So you can actually see the splash that it makes behind as well. So
what height are you on this, Ranty?
I was about, right now, I was about 25 foot above sea level when I was taking this.
Right.
do you guys believe that picture, that the record longest distance shot, the one I think it's in Spain or something like 270 miles?
Yeah,
I
we
can't see
debated
anything
it
in
on
that photo.
this show.
It's a crazy picture though.
I mean, the idea is crazy, but I'm not seeing anything. Because just today.
Well, I
or
mean, if
yesterday,
those mountains
see
in
some
the back
structures in
are
the back.
that far away, I mean, that's just insanity.
Well, the arrow
How
in the
far is
picture,
that picture supposed to be? Isn't it like a
285
world
miles.
record?
But the arrow shows something that isn't really there, though. That's the thing. It's like pointing to something saying this is 285 miles away. And when you look at it, you're like, where the hell is it? Yesterday I was on a bridge, the bridge that I can see Philadelphia at 40 miles. I was going back to New York City. So I'm like, well, why can't I see New York City, which would have been about 70 miles? And you can't see it because it's just, I mean, it's sitting there beyond the blue. But the more I move, if I were to move closer to it at that height on this bridge, maybe 100 feet, I think it would just slowly appear, just slowly like come out of the fog of blue. And there wasn't a fog, it was a clear day. But I think it's all just caked in this blue brick we call the sky or the distance.
I don't know. No, with the long distance photo record photo, I don't know what you mean. You can clearly see the peak. It's a specific mountain that has a specific shape, right? Like, I don't know what you mean when you say you can't see it, that there's an arrow pointed at nothing. There's an arrow pointed at the horizon, and then there's a range of mountains along the horizon, right? And you can compare the shape of the peaks to other photographs and other references that show those same mountains, and you will in fact see that, you know, assuming that that's a real photograph. I mean, I guess there's always, I always think that you have to consider the possibility of fraud with everything, but if it's a real photograph, it clearly shows what it purports to show, which is that, you know, this distant mountain that's whatever 280 miles away.
See, yeah, I'm looking at it now, and
so what do you see? I mean, you don't see a range of mountains.
There's an the second picture down shows an arrow that says "Pick Gaspard," and it points to nothing. It's just a little arrow.
No, I don't agree that it points to nothing. To me, I can clearly see that it points to a mountain peak. Like, I don't know what you mean by nothing. You don't see that there's like a range of mountains.
There's a ridge, right? There's a ridge in the background, all the way in the distance, and that arrow is either pointing to that ridge, or something that we can't see. Because if the arrow is pointing to the ridge,
no, it's pointing to the ridge. They know that there's like those mountains are in, you know, they're congruent with other observations of that landscape, other photos, and you know, Google Earth or whatever like that. We know, you know, that it's not that you can match that photograph to other sources, and you'll see that there is in fact a peak there that matches that range. I don't think that that's really a controversial point about the photograph. So I'm not really sure what you mean by that. Or maybe you need to look at a higher resolution version of the image or something. I don't know. I don't know what you mean by you can't see anything. It seems very clear.
Well, there's a couple of different photos on the web page. There's the first one, then there's the second one, and they're all 3 different photos. I mean, I understand what they're getting at, but 285 miles, I don't know about that.
Any chance someone can present this?
Because, you know,
has anyone got this photo to present, just so the audience can see what we're talking about?
Yeah, I can do that. I'll just go straight to the web page.
Could I just give a shout out to someone in chat? It is CBH team member. Do not support this channel, frauds. And the other message he put was, Anthony runs the chat under multiple accounts, frauds who promote a fantasy. So shout out to CBH team member, and make sure you smash the super chat because we need some hookers, drugs, and cocaine because the weekend's nice.
Because the weekend is nice.
Wow.
It's good weather up here today.
Okay, you're up.
Smash my kind of chat.
Pretty rainy here today, actually. So have a nicer week than the weekend. Anyway, so are you going to show the...
Yeah, it's up.
It's on. Audience has got it. Just click on Haunted's icon.
Oh, Haunted, right, sorry.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Forgot. Or you present... Let me... Bam. Okay, so... That's the first one. Current world record of distant landscape photography. We have this ridge in the back. Fine. Is in the middle left of the image. Now we have this photo. See, this is pointing to what? This right here?
Yeah.
This little hump right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't see what's wrong with that. It seems like, you know, what are you expecting?
And then we have this photo.
What?
And then we have this photo.
Yeah.
It does sound like you've got a touch of the slice bar
Rumpus actually
pains.
showed me this.
You know what I mean, Jonathan?
Let's just keep on one photo. I mean, maybe, you know, maybe you need to up the contrast or something, but I think that you're going to be able to pretty clearly see that that's not just nothing, that peak.
This is what I was getting at. This arrow is pointing to just air right here. If this arrow is pointing to this, why doesn't it go all the way down?
It is pointing. No, it's pointing
No, I
at.
understand.
There's a little hump there. It's just further away. It's still perspective still applies. You know.
Thank you for the super chat. Tony says $1.99 strictly for hookers.
Right. Yeah, because what I'm saying is when I saw yesterday when I was looking for the Manhattan skyline, if let's say there was a mountain up here higher, okay, higher up in this ridge, the closer you got, this would slowly appear. It would slowly appear. That's why I'm saying this arrow is pointing to something that it wasn't there, that isn't there. So, okay, fine. We'll say that the arrow is pointing to this mountain range at 285 miles.
No, that's not what it's pointing. It's pointing to a specific peak. That's like a known peak, right, in the distance.
Right. This peak right here?
Yeah.
That's a peak?
Yep.
Just looks like a mound to me.
Well, yeah, because it's really far away, right? So it gets smaller due to perspective, the angular resolution.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Thank you for the super chat. Ninja Man says just for the drugs.
I don't really understand what the issue is with this. So what you're saying is that there's no mountain there. There's an arrow pointed at nothing, and that this is just a non-issue. Like this is really just.
I don't think that's 285 miles. I don't think that's 280 miles. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying that if you can look, you can get other views of that range of peaks, and it matches, right?
Well, a number of things could have been done to this photo to make it look like this.
That's true, but
I'm just saying 280. That's a lot. That's really far. I mean, to get this kind of resolution, to have like this kind of definition, I don't know.
Well, I think it's totally possible at that, especially at altitude.
Look up here. It's like there's nothing. There's no definition at all. This is just, I mean, there might not also, this may be flat, but.
I think it's entirely possible that if the Earth is flat, that you could see that. I don't think it would be possible on a globe, but I don't see what the problem with the footage, or with the.
That's 280 miles of clear, of the air.
Yeah, because it's high, you're higher up, right? So the air is a little bit thinner and.
How high is he?
Oh, it's been taken up at another mountain, so he's very high.
Yeah, he's at I don't remember the height of them. He's basically like near the peak of a similarly sized mountain. And these are big mountains, man. These mountains in Europe, in what are they called? The Alps. These are huge mountains. They're not small. So
the photograph isn't taken by a flat earther. It's just a competition that people have to see who can photograph the farthest distance. So it's not. It supports our position. It's not taken by a flat earther.
Okay, so the image was.
I remember when this came out. I remember when Jaron had it on.
So the image was taken from an altitude of 2,820 meters. So that's what in feet.
2,800.
2,820. So it's almost 10,000 feet, man, or 9,250 feet. That's so super high. That's really. That's a very, very high point to be. Very high vantage point. So the air can.
I guess I'll concede at that height. Maybe you could. Maybe you can see that then.
Yeah. Well, you still shouldn't be able to see it on a globe. But to me, it makes I think that if you'd have to have that kind of height in order to get that kind of. But I'm just saying that the atmospheric conditions at that altitude are also unfamiliar to us, and the air apparently seems like it's a lot more. Can be a lot more clear than it is at the ground level. Probably less turbulent as well.
It's crazy how we hear that the air gets thinner. I mean, I've been in high altitude. I've been to Denver, I've been to Telluride, Aspen, and you feel it because the air thins out. But it also seems like space is, or the Kármán line, or whatever is up there, 30 miles, 40 miles. Seems like there's some kind of new viscosity taking place. almost like a gel-like liquid. That's just pure speculation.
I don't know
But
what you
from
mean
that-
by gel. Like, what do you mean a gel? Where? Like, you mean at the bottom of
Above
the
our heads. No, above our heads. Like moisture in the air, for instance, when it's humid out, you can almost feel it. You can feel it in your hand.
Yeah, well,
I
because
understand.
it condenses when it touches you, but I don't
It's
think
been speculated that up in space or above us, that there's water or some other consistency, like that rocket video, for instance, that Go Fast rocket.
Yeah.
It apparently slows down or it hits something. I don't think it hits anything hard.
Like, what do you mean like a gel? Like,
Blow apart.
Now to Sleeping Warrior, this message is because of CBH. Enjoy the rum, Nath. I will.
what do you mean like gel? Like hair?
Gel.
Like
Yeah,
so what kind of
like
consistency-
like a goop, like a gel.
Okay, so like Vaseline or something.
Maybe not that thick.
Aerogel?
Viscosity change, like an oil,
Okay.
like a heavy car, like auto, like a motor oil kind of thing.
So how
Like
does
a
it stay
thicker
up
thicker
there, then?
consistency. How does
So
what?
They're saying like the dome is made out of gel.
No, I think it just slowly starts to change. Like it goes from a
Okay, so
thinner,
it's like-
thinner consistency that we can breathe to something heavier, to something like a thicker substance.
Okay. Well, I don't really get what would indicate that, but
Nah,
maybe you can elaborate on that a bit. I'm not sure. Like, what do you mean? What's the evidence of? Like, I don't understand where you're coming from with that. Like,
now either there's a container and it has to be solid enough, or it is similar. It's something simulation causing. So
like, why do you say?
I don't agree that there has to be a physical round dome at all. There'll be all kinds of solutions to contain the air pressure.
But you do agree there has to be a barrier of some kind, right?
Well, there has to be a containment of some
Yeah.
type, but
Yeah.
the form that containment can take on can be different things.
Yeah, it's or it
The
could just be
spatial limitation can also function as a container.
some kind of a closed system in terms of pressure.
Well, I don't know. A closed system
But it could
implies
work-
that there's something on the other side. What's on the other side?
Not necessarily.
Unless there is nothing on the other side.
The idea of a closed system doesn't necessarily imply that there's something on the other side. But I mean, who knows if there is or not, right? But also, it could
Well,
be
wouldn't
that
it apply it then?
pressure is somehow like electrostatically.
No, that is just as likely as as gas being kept to a ball thanks to gravitational pull.
Sorry to interrupt,
must
guys.
be
I just want to show
enclosed
this
somehow.
to. Sorry, Arwin. I just want to show this to Haunted because he hasn't watched the show for the last couple of days. So, I don't know if you want to click on Ranty's icon, Haunted, just so you've got him up locally.
Oh, that's a nice shot.
Let me know when you have.
Oh, I've been meaning to catch up to the Quantum Eraser show you guys did.
This is aside from that. I mean, yes, definitely check out that show as well. Of course, like, share, subscribe, all that crap. But yeah, this much more importantly is Ranty's capture from about 1.5 foot, maybe a foot above the shoreline, and basically he's got underneath the refraction zone. So I'm going to circle it for the audience, but you probably can't see it. But there's like a little chunk taken out of the side of the mountain, and it beautifully coincides with a set of windows that are refracted up. So when you see the shot from about maybe 60 feet above the water, you can see that this building only has 2 windows, whereas it's got 4 windows. Now anything beyond that or below it, including this clock tower on the right hand side, is perfect. You can see all the way down to the shore. There's no refraction interfering with it. It's not being loomed up. It's just how it is across a flat plane with absolutely no interference. And then this globe busting slightly looming non-standard refraction hyena defying band above the horizon, causing this mirage. So if people like Philip are struggling to create a mirage in model form at the horizon, what chance have they got of getting it halfway up the image to refract all the way around the curve of the Earth? I mean, this is just just game over for me, and I don't want this to get brushed under the carpet. I want to keep bringing this up again and again and again. How is Ranty getting 18 miles, or 14 to 18 miles in terms of the distance that he's looking from 1.5 foot above the water? You know, this is sensational. So there you go. That's as you'd not seen it haunted. There it is.
It's a nice one.
I've also we're quite clear that this is the sand dune in the foreground. This is the actual sand dune, and we have a rock over here that sits on the shoreline that I've identified. It's a massive rock, but it's literally by the shoreline. I think I might have it somewhere, maybe not in the Isle of Man, but Barrowing Furnace Images. Yeah. So there's the sand dune. This is from a slightly different location. So obviously the parallax issue is slightly different. It appears in front of this building, so it's moved. But because I've moved down the coast and further out to sea, it's parallaxed this sand dune, so it's now appearing here. But you clearly see that in the image. Where are we? Let's go over this side. Oh, there it is. Can you see this sand dune?
Yeah.
Same shape and everything. I mean, it's obvious that that's what it is. And then the other thing that I wanted to show you was this this rock that was in the way. And here it is. This big rock.
Wow.
Like, can you see that rock there? And the parallax issue again moves it slightly over this side so it now appears in front of this building. But this rock is very clear. It's in all the images. It's not just in one image. It's in all the images. So if I come over here and show it you over here, there it is.
Yeah, and what kind of camera? This is taken from less than 2 feet high.
Less than 2 feet, yeah. It's about a foot, yeah.
Just so it's clear for the audience.
Directly
just
over
hold on,
the
Owen.
water.
Sorry. So just the shot we are on now, which looks slightly more grainy, is from 1.5 feet, and then the other shot where the building on the left-hand side has only got one set of windows, or to phrase it slightly differently, 2 windows. That shot is from about 60 feet. So as Ranty scrolls across, you can see here that is miraging, because he's underneath the miraging, so it is mirroring up, unlike the usual, what they call, in quotes, refraction, which is refracted downwards in terms of the actual miraging effect that we see, and they cannot model.
Yeah, I think I can show you that here. If I go back to this building now, you'll see that this building on the left next to the chimney, it only has 2 windows. So we have the corrugated iron sheeted window roofs here of this building, and then obviously we have the sand dune. And this building only has 2 windows. And yet in this image, we see the 2 windows here, and these 2 windows above it are being refracted up, because that's where the refraction zone starts here. And this is evident again in all the images. You see that, in fact, I might have that. Just bear with me. Yeah, here we go. So this is a later image, so probably about a minute afterwards this image was taken. But can you see now that the refraction zone is very clear and those windows have gone?
Yeah.
And now you can see the doubling up of this rooftop and everything, but you can see the corrugated iron roofs here, you know, very clear.
So is this a photo, or did you take
this is a photo,
a still from a? Oh, okay.
This is a photo, yeah.
There was a
video
that went
and
alongside as well. So Ranty did it in video format, and he's doing it by hand, so it's quite shaky. No offense, but that's what you get at this distance when you're doing it with a P900 at full zoom. But nevertheless, he then sort of steadied his position and took a few stills, which is what these are.
Okay. Because I usually do that with my iPhone camera. If I'm doing up close photography, I'll just take a video in 4K and then take stills from that.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Snapping.
That's what I do with my daughter. You've got no chance of getting her to smile for a split second and take a picture, so you just do exactly that, a 4K video, and then you just take screen grabs of the single moment that she smiles. But yeah, this is the totally different ball game when you're talking about a P900 with, you know, several grams actually weighing you down. Here we go. Check this out.
There's that rock again. There's the rock in front of this building.
But look at the clock. Look at the clock.
But this is the clock, yeah. So this is the refraction zone that's above because I'm underneath the refraction zone now, so I'm looking up at the refraction zone, so it's affecting the clock here. So there we have the clock face, which is now almost doubling up on itself and being stretched right up here. Even this, there's like a church spire here, and that's being refracted up. So this is where the mirroring line is. And because this building and the rock and everything else that's in this image is beneath this refraction zone, they're not being affected. So we're seeing complete flatness, shore to shoreline. Basically, I'm a foot above the water, and I'm seeing this rock. I'm seeing the rock on the other side. And I'm also seeing the sand dune, but the clock obviously is being distorted up because that's where the refraction zone is, and I'm beneath it. I've gone under it, same as Anthony did when he looks at the Isle of Man from a foot.
There is just no explanation for that with the known refraction explanation from the bowlers. They're going to have to pseudoscience the shit out of this to figure it out.
And the other thing to remember is this is over 18 miles, and that happens to be the same distance that, Refraction Soundly did his work on Pontchartrain. So if 18 miles at Pontchartrain gives us the basketball that he claims that we live on, why is it that we're getting something totally opposite?
There's me rock again. I keep just pointing it out, but
while you're on the mic, Anthony,
that's the rock.
Sorry to interrupt you, Anthony. Just while Anthony's definitely on the mic, I know you've been doing some monochrome footage. Have you got any of that to hand?
Yes, I want to present it.
When you're done, Anthony, is there any chance you can let Anthony just present some of this? Because I want to show you.
I just want to make one other point, actually.
Sure, go ahead.
And that is that this is the sandbank going around the entire Barrowing Furnace. So if we look at this, this is from a higher elevation looking down into the town. So this sand dune is in the way, and we have like another spire in the way here. There's some kind of building there. But we're never going to see the bottom of this lighthouse. We're never going to see the house that's adjoined to this lighthouse because the sandbank is in the way. It's its own sea wall. It's its natural defences. So anybody that says, how come you're not seeing to the bottom of the buildings? Well, we can't because there's a sand dune in the way. The good thing is that we do see the sand dune, this sand dune here, which is very prominent and has an easily identifiable feature from the 1 foot elevation. It's very clear what we're seeing. And also the rock as well. I'm going to keep pointing this rock out because it's going to do the bowler's heading. There's the rock that is now parallaxed here in front of this building. So we're seeing this rock from a foot in elevation. So that's all I really wanted to say.
Shore to shore, 18 miles, flat as a pancake, absolute globe destroyer.
Nice work, Mikey.
Yeah, so why is Pontchartrain so bendy?
I think this is called a straight line of sight.
Yep.
Yeah. Not wrong. Line of sight. Straight. Anyway, when you're ready, Anthony, I think is that you done, Runty?
Yep, that's me done. Although I will be releasing another video later. It's another one of the boat observation, and I do go down and I lower my elevation to about 5 feet above sea level, and to still see the boat. And also, it's very clear on this how much air that we're actually seeing, and it's just air that's in the way. It's not actually the horizon or the waves. It's very clear that it is just air that's blocking it out. And somebody mentioned before that it's mirroring the water. It is mirroring the water. You can see it in the video.
Yeah, that's called Fata Bromosa.
Right. Well, it's actually I'm actually seeing it.
And guess what that'd do to a boat that was in the background? It'd make it disappear, hull up, bottom up.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. This is my whole point on this video. So I'll release I'll release it just in its normal form as I videoed it at the time. And if people again want to download it and analyze it,
well, you did show that footage on this. I know we didn't brush over it.
No, I didn't. I didn't show the other one. I've got two videos.
Oh, okay. I mean, if you want, I mean, it'd be great to get that on. We're only 40 minutes into the show, so if you can show the other one as well.
I can show the second video if you want.
Yeah, do it now.
Okay. Here we have the boat. I think I'm at full zoom here. I haven't actually gone into the digital zoom, but I am actually in full zoom. And this boat is only a very small boat. You saw it was a speedboat. You can actually see the guy here. So I'm an elevation of about 25 feet now, and I do go down to about 5 feet. I stop in the middle as well. But you can actually see, I mean, look at this area here. This isn't waves. This is air. All this is air that's blocking the boat. And you see it in the video. It's very clear what's happening. You can see the mirroring of the water underneath. It kind of creates a false horizon. It's a false horizon. So when they say it's going over the curve, I mean, originally I thought, oh, that's the horizon, but it's not. It's just the air. Look at this. You can see as the waves go, well, not waves, the wave of air goes past the boat, that it's just air. It's not actual real water. And you can see areas where it mirrors completely on itself out of nothing. I think this is just really good footage, and just goes to kind of say what we're saying about this dirty air at the horizon. Well, it kind of like mimics the water underneath now. You can see it. It's very clear what's going on.
You know, I really think these guys really have absolutely no response to this.
Yeah, I agree. And they'll do what they'll do.
Where's the refraction argument?
What they'll do is they'll obfuscate. They'll not deal with the point in hand. They'll obfuscate and make it look like they know what they're talking about a topic that nobody really cares about. Where's the curve? Where's the bulge? Why are we not getting consistent results with Soundly at Lake Pontchartrain at 18 miles?
I'll just speed it up a tad, because what I do next is I'm walking down the ramp and I go to a lower elevation of about 15 feet above sea level now, and I'm trying to find the boat. I can still identify it, but I can't see it very clearly. But what I do notice when I'm stationary, looking at this boat, you do see the air again. You see the mirroring effect of the air on the water, so you know it's just air that you're looking at. I'll hold it.
Can I ask, does anybody else have this type of footage? Like literally seeing underneath the refraction band? Like,
Yeah,
does anybody?
He did it first.
No, I mean, like besides you two.
Well, we've only just found out about it.
Yeah, I mean,
but that's what I'm saying. Like, is nobody's done this before? Like,
not that we're aware of. No.
I mean, I'm sure somebody has.
You guys,
but in terms
you guys should
of
make a kind of database or something, because this is actually like the cutting edge of research into this field.
You took the words out of my mouth, Ranty. I was going to say this is exactly that. It's right on the cutting edge of what we're discovering about how the world actually works. No presuppositional mathematics. Why does the boat disappear? You just watch and see. And that's what these guys are doing with their cameras. And I really hope it encourages us to just do the same. And, you know, setting down a few limits in terms of, well, no, you can actually achieve really good results from only a foot, but not from 5 foot, surprisingly. That's a bit of a turnip. But like you say, that's right on the cutting edge of what we understand of how we photograph things at these distances.
Yeah, and it's like I was saying a few days ago, this is the scientific community. This is the real scientific community. People doing, you know, actual investigations into phenomenon in order to understand it clearly, and not just referring to the body of science. And
you see, there is the boat. I mean, this is where the boat is here. You can actually see it. It pops in and pops out of the. This is from a 5 foot elevation. It's right next to these wind turbines, some 16 miles away. I shouldn't be seeing that speedboat from here. But then it's all just air. It literally, you can see the air, and I hope that I'll be able to get that across on when I upload the video, and you can perhaps zoom in and have a look at it. But it is definitely just air. It's mimicking the water. Yeah.
You definitely need a better tripod.
I'm holding it freestyle. I'm on a ramp here. It was at high tide, mate.
Well, get your belly on the sand, and then put it on something solid so that you don't have to do this. Because I get criticised to death, and mine's stationary and still, and you don't get any criticisms, and yours is worse, 10 times worse than mine.
Yeah, but mine shows really good stuff, and yours doesn't.
Right, less dissension in the ranks. Come
Just
on.
before you take that off, Ranty, look at the size of the waves on his. As he's zooming out there, you can see that the waves are. I would probably describe them best as minor, you know, negligible. Yeah, they're not big waves. It's quite a flat day for whatever reason.
I wouldn't say it was incredibly flat. But
Yeah,
it's,
but
not
there's no.
bad.
It's a
there's no.
flat day, no curvature today.
Yeah. It's a non-curve day.
So I'm on this ramp, and I mean, I shouldn't even be here. We've got all these electric wires going into these.
So should there be a
machines down here.
curvature forecast? Extra curve today, or there's almost no curve today?
Yeah, that's what we should have. We should have like is it hurricanes that have the Beaufort scale, or is it that is the Beaufort scale, isn't it, for wind?
We need the hyena scale.
We need our own scale of refraction so we can estimate how much refraction we'll see.
Well, I think we could learn a lot from trying to, understand and be able to predict the conditions that you could take this kind of footage in, right? Like if we knew what the situation was that allowed it, then we could probably make some reasonable deductions from that in terms of what are the possible causes.
You want to share mine, Nath?
Yeah, onto this monochrome stuff.
Right, someone said to me, instead of doing it in color, try doing it in monochrome because you can often get better results, especially on a misty day. So I thought I'll try it just to see what happens. So on this particular clip, I'm at my favorite place, and basically it's outside the ice cream parlor at St. Bees. So all I'm doing at this point is I'm just trying to play with my camera to get it to do what I want it to do. But there's tuft of trees. We can see the Isle of Man. It's quite a misty day. It's not particularly good visibility.
Shout out to the trees.
Shout out. Shout out to the trees.
Sorry, can I just say shout out to Tough Trees?
So there's the land up. There's the floaty land that Slice Barcane cannot see. And this is obviously taken outside the ice cream parlor or the cafe thing at the top of the steps. Now, what's interesting about this one is that this isn't a proof that's proving what can be seen. This is a fail. This is not actually a strong proof in terms of what we see. It's more a fail of what and why it fails. Now, if you look at the waves on the sea here,
it's really funny. It's getting it's sharper.
It is sharper.
It's really it focuses really quickly. It's very interesting.
Yeah, it's because it's black. I think it's because it's black and white. But I'm testing it. I'm just seeing how I can improve my work.
Really good stuff.
But I wasn't expecting to see it at this point. I was expecting this not to work because look at the size of the waves, right? Now, this is going to obstruct the land, obviously, because the waves are pretty big. Now, again, I put my camera down on the beach, and I just line it up. But you can see that I'm not quite at the water's edge, but I do it deliberately because I want to see what the effect of big waves.
That is such a perfect focus.
Yeah, I want to see what the effect of big waves does to the stuff in the background. Now, people always say, well, why can't you get it, blah, blah, blah. But look at it. Look at what's the obscurity there, right? Look at what's being blocked out, all of it. And this is called perspective. So something in the foreground that's bigger than something in the background will blot it out. Now, they weren't
smaller, but just nearer.
They weren't particularly big waves, but they were big enough to blot it all out.
What time of the day was this? Is the tide coming in?
The tide was it had just been in at high tide and it was on its way out. I think it was early evening, 6 o'clock-ish, there or thereabouts. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to see, well, what height do I need to be at to be able to see this? Because I want to see floaty land again. Now, I don't see it from here.
There's lots of clouds, man.
Yeah, it's heavy cloud cover. I don't
really close.
I'm surprised you can see it at all. It's a really rubbish day.
Yeah, it's rubbish. But I'm testing the parameters. I'm seeing what works and what doesn't work. So this is where they would say, well, it's because of the curve, Riley. You can't see it because you've got to go up the beach, right? So all I'm doing is testing it to see what works and what doesn't work. And this is a really bad day, but I was just, like I say, just trying to see what fails. And then when I've realized that I can't see it from this position, I spin the camera back round and I go up the steps and I climb on top of this, it's like a coffin shaped thing. It's like a big rectangle thing. Here we go, up the steps. And I'm just testing because I know I can see it at the top. So I just want to see, can I see it from here? And I realized that I can see it when I'm on this like coffin shaped thing. And when I do see it, this tells me that it's the waves that's blocking out my view. It's not the curvature. The obstruction is the waves, and I have to get above the highest wave because we're at 9 meter tides here, right? And it's quite a choppy sea. So I zoom in and I can see trees, individual trees. But and you'll see the floaty land now, hopefully.
You can see floaty land from that elevation.
Yeah.
That's
there you go.
Astounding.
So floaty land at high tide on a choppy sea.
That was a light flash then.
So I'm getting floaty land at high tide on a rough sea. So that tells me that even on a bad day with bad visibility, in the right conditions, I know roughly where to go. And look at this. Look at the size of the waves here. They are pretty big swell waves, and obviously as the crest in here, they're massive. Now, what happens on this for the rest of this video? I don't see it again, but I thought it was because of the height. But what's actually happening here right now is the visibility is getting less and less and less. So this is the last time I see it. So I spent the rest of this time on this clip trying to find it. Don't see it again. But it's because visibility got reduced and I couldn't see it. But you can see floaty land again there. So it's like, well, I am seeing floaty land, and now I know that even at high tide, at choppy seas, I can still see it at places where I definitely shouldn't see it if we live on a sphere, even in bad conditions. So this goes against the idea that you have to have extremely perfect temperature conditions and all this nonsense. No, this is clearly not good weather. I would describe this as poor. This is poor weather, and I can still see it. So this goes, for me, this is like, yeah, all right, this doesn't prove that I can see it on the beach on this occasion for obvious reasons. The waves were a lot bigger than what I could see beyond. But if I had the waves that were like Ranties on that day, even in this weather conditions, I'd have seen it. So it's literally the cresting waves do block out that which we can see.
Why don't you use a tripod?
Because to be honest, when you're getting really low and you need something stable to sit on.
God, Anthony, I think you need a new tripod.
Say again.
I'm just leveling the exact criticism you leveled at Ranty about 5 minutes ago. That's all. Just a joke.
I know, it's okay. But at least I get my horizon
freestyling this, you say, Anthony. Freestyling.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm not doing this to present to everybody to make any points. All I'm doing at this point is just seeing how low I can go before I see it at high tide in bad weather with big waves, and I can still see it. So this fiction that it requires special temperature inversions and refractive conditions and all that nonsense is literally nonsense. It's like I can clearly see it. So it's like, and that's basically it. I mean, I got it onto the seawall here, but I mean, I don't see any more. So that's the end of it, really. But monochrome pictures are definitely a good thing, really, for me. I found anyway.
Okay.
It looks super sharp.
I think
you
I
see
spotted.
every pebble.
I'm sorry.
You know, really detailed.
I think I spotted like the band of refraction that Ranty caught on the big part of the Isle of Man in the right hand side when it's coming down like a plane nose above the horizon and under the top of that part. I think I see a little distortion in the, in the shade. I don't know. Maybe I'm watching the phone. It's too small.
No,
but
that was trees.
Who knows?
That was actually trees. Trees in the actual footage.
Yeah, individual trees. But I'm still learning here, so I'm probably going to make mistakes and get judgments wrong and stuff. But all I'm doing is testing it to see how much of a nonsense this refraction nonsense is. And even on a bad day with bad weather conditions, not in favor of refraction the way they're arguing, because they need a really hot day with really clear visibility to even have any chance to bring this back. And even then, the difference on the refractive index is minuscule. But they're arguing that can make it all work. Well, I'm seeing whether the conditions varying makes, and it literally seems to be the case that the only variable that we really need is a clear day. All right, a little bit less waves, smaller waves that are cresting, but I just need a clear day. And if I can get a clear day, I'll see it. If I don't get a clear day, I won't. But the obstruction seems to be weather rather than curve.
I'm going to do a quick link as we've got approximately an hour left on this live stream. I hope you're all enjoying the debate thus far. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support this channel, as several people have done on the show, thank you very much to all who hit the super chat. Simply hit the super chat that is in each of these live shows while they're running, and there's a link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. Most importantly, though, if you would like to join the discussion, that said, I think there's a full panel at the moment. Simply click the link in the info box below the video once there is a gap, and join the panel to express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Again, a massive thank you to all who have done so already. Sharing the show increases the live audience, of course, and this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you are new to the channel or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. As I say, there is approximately 1 hour left on this live stream.
I gotta say, much props to Ranty and Riley for this footage, man.
And to be honest,
guys are killing it.
I've got to respond, and much props to people like Slice Barcane, Mark Taylor, because if they hadn't challenged me to go back and do it, I would never have done it, because I know that there's obstruction at the horizon. It's not the curvature that I see, it's like miragey stuff, and you can interpret it any way you want, but it's not curved that we're seeing. But without them two challenging me to go back and do it when the weather improved, I wouldn't have done it, because I just accept that there is an obstruction at the horizon. We differ on what that obstruction is, but it's them two really, or them 4 or 5 like main circle jerkers that are the reason why that I went back and done it. And then obviously Ranty's then gone and done it. What we really need is Sandra Coolpix P900 to go and validate Ranty's observation and see if she can repeat it. And then if and when that does happen, you know, how are they going to argue against that if it's been repeated?
She did. She saw the Isle of Man from 1 foot, 65 miles away.
No, your observation with them buildings.
Oh, right. Sorry, I'm talking about Sandra. Yeah,
I am.
You're both talking about the same person, but a different observation. So Anthony's talking about Sandra replicating Barrow.
Right, okay.
From the same place.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
Because that is science, right? Validate, repeat, observe, predict.
Well, it's just a new avenue that we've only just started looking into. So let's just hope some other flat earthers do it. Like, you know, I've always said, you know, this is cutting edge of science, and this is what we're doing. We actually are going out and doing these experiments and finding new ways to explain what we live on. You know, even noticing today that the waves that appear at the horizon aren't waves. The waves are beneath them, and they're just mirror images of them in the air. So that explains the horizon and boats going over it. And it makes sense too, essentially, because if you think about it, we always see mirroring at the horizon. So why shouldn't the ocean be mirroring itself? And I think that's something that Pete Shea's always said as well, isn't it?
Flat Earth Math says, Nathan Oakley, all proofs of R require knowledge of the globe. If you start by determining the shape of the Earth, now we're getting somewhere. Come on, Nathan. That's got to be worthy of a response.
Yeah, well, what he's calling knowledge is just another way of rephrasing a presupposition.
Or dogma, or indoctrination, or brainwashing.
Yeah, my challenge is outstanding, Charles. Prove R. Gish Gallop and conditional acceptances saying, I'll prove R when you prove there's 1,000 million people guarding the ice wall. Yeah, that's just a coward's way of saying, no, I can't prove R.
I just want to give a really good, I don't know what the word is to describe this, but somebody said to me the other day, what do you think the reason is for why the Globers are so vitriolic against you challenging their belief system? And I said, well, it's obvious they don't want to believe that they've been lied to. And he said, have you ever thought about the Stockholm Syndrome? Now, the Stockholm Syndrome is where the kidnapper kidnaps somebody. Like, usually it's obviously somebody of the opposite sex. And they end up falling in love with them to the point where the one that's been kidnapped will actually defend and stand up for the burglar or whatever. And they have feelings for their captor. And it's a well-known thing called the Stockholm Syndrome. And that kind of is the best description that I can think of for a baller that is about to lose their ball, because it's like they've been kidnapped by the system and now they're falling in love with the system, akin to the Stockholm Syndrome. And when you put it in that context, it makes a lot of sense to me.
Also a self-defense mechanism that happens to occur. They sympathize with their captor.
I made a video about that. Just put it in the chat. You're a bit quiet, Haunted. Sorry, I just realised I was talking over you.
Yeah.
If Flat Earth Mass wants to come in, anyone spare their seat?
Yeah, I'll drop. Flat Earth Math, do you want to come in?
Yeah.
If you try now, Flat Earth Math, I'll drop so you can get in. So I'll give it a couple of seconds. So
you don't need to. Somebody else already has. Feel free to join now, Charles. No need to drop Anthony. There you go. Hello, Charles. Good to have you.
Hello. Hello. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Have you brought with you proof of R?
Well, I've got a whole list of proofs of R, but every single one that I give, hold on a second. I'm putting my other thing on mute. Every single proof of R that I'm going to give, you're going to say, well, that presupposes a globe. So what I'm proposing is a two-step process.
Oh my.
All right, a two-step process.
Validate and verify.
Step one.
Hey, Mike.
Can
How
you
doing?
can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I'm just saying hello to Mike.
Hey guys.
Good to have you.
So what I propose is a two-step process. Step one, determine the shape of the Earth, not the size of the Earth, the shape. And once you've determined the shape of the Earth, then you can go on to step two, and that is determine the size of the Earth. Okay?
So let me get this straight, Charles. What you're saying is, even though we have a current accepted standard that we are on a sphere, the way to go forward to prove this is for us to start to do things going forward. So you can't actually provide any evidence whatsoever of the 2,000 years that have currently been accepted.
Well, so what I'm proposing is that you can set aside the body of knowledge. You know, you could say, let's start with a blank slate. You know, we're on a deserted island, and all we have is a protractor and a P900.
Yeah.
And you can actually figure out from first principles, from no assumptions, no presuppositions whatsoever, you can figure out that the Earth is a globe. Okay.
Right, but we're not on a desert island, Charles. Sorry to interrupt. We're not on a desert island.
You've done that, you can figure
Sorry,
out the size.
Charles, bear with me a second. We are not on a desert island, right? We are in the Western world with an accepted standard, and it already has a value, does it not?
Oh, sure,
and is this value not already used for things like NASA trajectories to get them into space, for example?
Sure.
Right.
All that is.
So we already have an accepted standard. Why the hell would I need to do anything going forward if we already have this accepted? And you've already pre-disclosed that every single piece of evidence that you can provide for the last 2,000 years of acceptance of this value is based on a presupposition.
No, I never, ever said that. I said that if you want to measure the size of the Earth, you need to first know the shape.
No,
that's what I said.
That's not what I'm asking for. That's not what I'm asking for. I don't want to know what I can do going forward. We've already got calculators set in place. NASA saying that they're traveling around a sphere, and our value already exists. And I'm asking, Charles, if you can stop from interrupting, what the last 2,000 years of acceptance has provided us as proof of this R value. I don't want to do anything going forward. You already accept you're on a sphere. Now I want to know what has led you to this acceptance, not what we can do going forward to prove it to ourselves.
So you want to know why I accept the Earth as a sphere?
No, I want to know what 2,000 years of globe acceptance has come up with as a proof of this R value.
Well, like I said, you first figure out the shape.
No, you're not listening. I'm not asking what I can do to go forward to figure it out. I'm asking very specifically what the last 2,000 years of globe acceptance has actually afforded people as proof to date.
Yeah, but he's not going to answer that. But I'm kind of curious. How do you actually get to this point of knowing it is a sphere from sitting on an island?
I'm happy to answer how you can figure out it's a sphere from sitting on an island. That's great. But it seems that what Nathan is saying is he doesn't want to know the shape. He only wants to know the size.
Stop obfuscating. How do you do it?
Well,
from sitting on an island. How do you know it's a globe?
I've got 15 DIY experiments. So you could do it yourself with a P900 from where you live.
Just give one.
Okay.
Just name an example. You're sitting on an island. How do you deduce that it is a sphere?
No P900s allowed.
Yeah, no P900s allowed.
No, that's fine.
You carefully observe the moon. So, for example,
so you're going
hold on.
You've
got him on this path. Let him speak.
You're asking a question.
You're saying it's an experiment. So, what's your independent variable?
No. It's an observation.
Please let Charles speak, and then you guys can jump on questions.
So, hold on.
There you go. So
Nummy's already got you, Charles. So he's just pointed out that you're saying that I can't use any of the already in existence proofs because they are based on presupposition, but we can do experimentation going forwards, and immediately we're not doing experiments, we're just making mere observations.
So are you rejecting making observations? Because that's what this whole footage.
I made this comment really clear. I want scientific
besides
evidence.
Any of the heavenly bodies, do you have anything on the Earth that can make you deduce that it is a sphere from sitting on an island?
Well, see, the thing is, every time I try to come up with something that you can do, it gets tossed out like, "Oh no, you're not allowed
but you
to
know
look at
why?
that.
We
Or
discussed
you're
it
not
very
allowed to look
elaborately
at
about
that."
the
Looks like it's time to go
Hold
flat.
on, Arwen, can you stop talking over him? You're asking him direct questions and then not letting him answer.
Thank you. So here's the thing. If you are a truth seeker, I mean, if you genuinely say, I want to know the truth, I don't care what the truth is, I want to know, then you're not going to say, I refuse to make these certain observations.
Wrong. I am saying we already have an R value. It is already in effect. It is already being used by you specifically to tell other idiot globeheads how they can make careful measurements and then go and presuppose it's a globe with the R value in place. So I'm asking specifically not what we can do going forward to prove the shape of the Earth to us, why we already have a value in place now that is being used. What's the proof of that value?
Okay, well, all right. So would you like me to list them? Because I can list them, but every single one you're going to reject.
Why?
Right?
Because it's based
So
on a presupposition.
Nathan,
You could do.
Because it's
So-
based on a
Can you share my
presupposition.
screen a second?
Hold on, I want Charles to just admit why. If he already knows that we're going to beat the crap
this
out of
will-
every
this will
single
help
piece
you
of evidence he
understand
presents
who you
because it's
deal
based
with.
on presupposition.
Nathan, would you like to know how to prove R? And I can list them. I've got like a list of like 8 of them.
Right,
You can
all
prove
based
R.
on presupposition. You disclaimed that at the start.
Well, okay, so I'm not allowed to say the list of experiments that'll
You've
prove
already
R?
told me that they're
You're
based
gonna
on
say,
a
well, everyone's got a
You've already told me they're based on presupposition. So what is the point in listening to a list of 8 things that you already know and have already disclaimed are based on a presupposition that you're on a sphere to begin with? What's the point?
Right.
Yeah,
So,
you don't do that.
so why don't we figure out the shape of the Earth first? That's
Because we've had 2,000 years of acceptance of this absolutely batshit crazy religion that you accept now, Charles. So I'm not interested in going forward and figuring it out in 2018 when we've had 2,000 plus years of acceptance and people like you utilising the R value. That's why I'm asking for what you have to date.
Well, I've got.
Why do you keep referring to them as
Yeah, we know what you've got to date, Charles. You've told us. You've got a whole bag full of presupposition. That's all you've got to back your religion in 2018. It is absolutely pathetic. All you have is a bag full of presupposition. That's it.
No, I do not, Nathan. You can figure out the shape of the.
Yeah, going forward, how many times have I got to say? We're in 2018 and we've had 2,000 years of acceptance. 2,000 plus years of acceptance of this batshit crazy religion that you assert with a value you should have some actual evidence of, rather than a bag full of presupposition and telling me that I can do something going forward.
Presuppositions, Nathan.
Couldn't he
No
say the same thing
presuppositions.
about flat Earth?
So
Can he say the exact same thing about presupposing and how you have the belief of flat Earth?
No, we do the exact same measurements and then insert an R value. We don't insert any R value. They do. They insert this presuppositional R value to the exact same measurements.
But you guys start with your conclusion that the Earth is flat, and then you
No, we
guys go
don't.
out and get stuff.
No, we
to
don't.
prove
We
it
don't
is
draw
flat.
conclusions. We don't triangulate to the moon and then draw a conclusion we're on a bloody sphere. We say we don't know.
Now, your experiments are supposed to lead you to your conclusion, not start with the conclusion.
Well, that's science putting
That's
effect before
a
the cause, once
presupposition.
again.
That's my point. If you start with an R value, then you already are on a sphere. If every single example that Charles uses presupposes you're on a sphere, then it is by definition a presupposition. He's already disclaimed it. He's already admitted it, and now he's trying to talk.
When those,
I'm kind of curious now because you're reminding me a lot about R. But he said that he had several ways to determine the shape of the Earth. You first brought forth the moon.
Right.
Well, I would immediately discard that.
Yeah, of course.
You know
Of course
why.
you will,
You know
because
why?
you believe the
Because
Earth
you
is
have
flat.
no proof.
Right.
Literal distances or
Every
sizes.
single thing I bring up.
No, but
It's
Charles,
useless as a proof. It's
you're
useless
also-
as a proof.
you're
So
also-
any earthly proof.
No, but you're claiming you're claiming that these are experiments, but they're not actually.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let's
Like,
call them explorations or
Right, but you-
observations.
But you can't prove it.
So what you're saying,
Not
Charles,
prove
is other than a big massive bag of presupposition, all you can do going forward in 2018 to prove your R value is come up with some mere observations. absolutely useless. It just makes no sense to me that in 2018 the best you can do is tell us to go out with a P900.
But Nathan, are you seeking the truth? Because if you're seeking the truth, you're going to say, oh, well, that sounds like an interesting observation. I think I'll make that. And oh, well, what kind of conclusions can I draw? Well, maybe it's a little fuzzy. Well, let's make this other observation. What kind of conclusions can I draw? Let's put the two observations together. Maybe I'll build a body of knowledge.
So you got any earthly observations that could start?
No, that's absolute garbage. Building up a just so story from a series of observations is the biggest pile of crap I've ever heard. What you do with your scientific is establish cause and effect.
You're building a body of speculation, and at no point are you actually subjecting any of this speculation to real experiment.
How do you know?
Well, because I've looked at your page and I've seen that all the things that you describe as experiments are not one of them is an actual experiment with an independent variable.
If you actually tried, you can come up with an independent variable and a hypothesis and a dependent variable. I just didn't present them in that structure. Okay.
Maybe you should do that then. Do you have any earthly sighting, any earthly observation? So non-heavenly body related that can prove when you're sitting on an island that you're on a ball?
Yeah, well, if you had, if this island had, say, a 6 mile long canal, nice flat water, still water, not flowing, then maybe you could set up a series of posts. You could set up a post 13 miles away. You could set up a post 6 miles away, and then you could just kind of shoot your P900 down, and you could take a look at the posts, and you'll see the middle post looks higher than the end posts.
And what do we do with that information, Charles? Hold on. What do we do with that?
Oh, come on, just.
What do we do with it?
You know, I mean,
what do we do with that information, Charles?
Yeah,
what do we
I'm
do
saying
with
that
it?
none of the
yourself to earthly observations.
No, none of these activities that you've described on your YouTube channel can in any way be construed as experiments or that have independent variables.
So, okay, but you just repeated yourself, and I already responded.
Yeah, but that wasn't one of the things that's on your YouTube channel, is it?
Okay, so now we're going to reject something I come up with because it doesn't have a video on my channel.
No, because it doesn't prove we're on a sphere, Charles.
No
hold on, Charles. Hold on. Let's take us through it. Hold on, guys. Hold on, Charles. Take us through. You've made your observation.
No, that
you've laid
rule
out your
only
sticks.
applies on Thursdays.
Charles, you've laid out your sticks in your canal on your desert island.
Yes.
And then you've made your measurement and seen that the higher stick in the middle is obscured or whatever the hell you're observing.
Not obscured. It's just it's higher.
Who
You have a
cares?
straight line of sight to the far stick.
Who cares? What does this prove, and how do you draw the inference that that makes us on a sphere?
Well, what you might conclude is that there is a sagitta, that there is a hump, that something is causing the middle post to appear to be higher than the straight line of sight from the first post to the last post, even though it's a flat-looking body of water, this canal. And so, no, that doesn't prove that we're on a sphere, but that's...
Oh, well, that's a waste of time. Why have you told us about it then? What an absolute waste of everybody's time.
Well,
why does it have to be?
Could I have 5 minutes with
Why
Charles?
are you giving this example if it's not going to actually prove you're on a
Okay,
ball?
so if you know anything about the body of science, you know that there isn't a single theory or law in existence that was proved with one experiment. It doesn't exist.
You didn't have an experiment, Charles. Sorry, your garbage proved nothing. It was a mere observation that proved nothing and in no way was anything experimental.
Well, like I said, if you really wanted to, you can come up with an independent variable or a dependent. Like, for example,
can I now? For your experiment that is garbage and proves nothing, I can come up with an independent variable for that, can I, Charles? That's very kind of you. Your garbage proof that didn't prove we're on a sphere, I can come up with an independent variable. Thank you. You're so kind.
But the thing is, you guys don't sound like truth seekers to me.
No,
you generally don't.
You're misrepresenting the content of your channel as being experimental as well. You're not showing any experiments, and to describe those things as experiments is fraud, actually.
Really
wow,
like 5 minutes.
You're pretty funny.
If I can.
You're pretty funny. See, the thing that's ironic is that if you were to actually go and perform the observations on my channel,
so they're not
absolutely
experiments?
every single. Please, just let me finish the sentence.
No, but are you acknowledging that
Let me finish the sentence. If you were to actually perform them, whether they are experiments or not, And
So why
whether
do
you
you
want to
keep
interrupt
calling
me
me
or not,
experiment?
if you were to actually perform them, you'd know 100% the shape of the Earth.
No, we wouldn't. They're not experiments. They absolutely in no way prove the shape of the Earth. In fact, they prove absolutely nothing because they are mere observations, Charles.
So,
you
so
just
what are
you
you
just
describing the
Charles,
observations of
you
that
gave
clock
the
tower?
example of the channel as a way to
what's
prove
the
the shape
independent
of the Earth, and then you actually yourself said, "Yeah, you can't actually prove the shape of the Earth." What are you doing?
You can prove the shape of the Earth. Well,
You
no, you
just
can't
said you
prove.
couldn't.
Not prove. You can determine for yourself. You can prove it for yourself. Nobody can prove anything to
You
you.
can't prove it, but you can prove it for yourself.
Well, if you really think about it, we could be living in a matrix simulation. So there is no proof. In the world of science, there is no proof. The word
Simulation of
proof
what?
only belongs in
simulation
the
of what?
Maybe it could just be an optical effect. Have you ever considered that?
Hey, Alex, how you doing?
Sure, but it's an optical effect that's based on heliocentrism.
No, you're
No,
misrepresenting.
an optical effect means non-physical.
Sure.
It's
I
an
know.
optical.
I've
It's
heard
an
you describe
optical
things
effect, and actually, if you put your camera really, really low to the water, you might actually find out that this apparent hump will be missing if the conditions are right. It depends on the conditions of the weather and everything. Like this hump is going. Oh, okay.
Lost half the panel.
Cat
Marvelous.
Earth decided to boot everyone.
I think it's Cat Earth. Or a Cat Earth sock, one or the other. Hey ho. Well, there'll be a short interlude as we were making Globe Earth look absolutely terrible with Charles on the panel. No bother. How long we got left? 35 minutes. Welcome to the show. You don't know. Oh no. Okay, so I've put the link in Skype. Hopefully I'll get a few people rejoin me for the last half an hour of this show. Okay, quick link while I'm waiting for people to join the panel. Hey, Nummy was in before I was. How you doing, Nummy? Wow.
So, yeah, Charles is misrepresenting his content as scientific and experimental when really it's all just observations that don't prove anything. You know, I'm calling him out on that he continuously refers to these observational activities that he describes on his channel as being experiments, and he's trying to use the scientific, he's trying to hijack the auspices of the scientific method to lend credibility to his rather meaningless observational activities.
Yeah, he was totally red herring us.
Like, totally.
Very badly. First he said, okay, this is going to prove it's on a sphere. And then when you actually show how
Ranty.
it doesn't prove it's on a sphere, he just starts spinning around.
So Ranty was desperately
It's
trying
really
to get a point
stupid.
in, but was being talked over by everyone. So, Ranty, did you have something that you wanted to add?
I wanted to ask him about something, actually. If you want to share my screen, I'll show you.
Yeah, you should have asked him about your 18-mile observation and asked him to explain the science for why there's no bulge and no drop.
Well, this is his point on my video. He's obviously seen the video, and essentially he's arguing about the viewer height. So any attempt to accurately record your observer height above the water, right? I know you say it's 1 foot, but that's the height above the sand, and the sand is clearly well above the waves. Right? This is the kind of guy that you're dealing. This is what I'm trying to say, is the kind of guy that you're dealing with, right? So
even if it's the case, what's it going to do? Is it going to add 6 inches to it? Ooh.
Exactly. I mean, the point is, he just needed to come to my channel and make a point. His point is irrelevant. It wouldn't have mattered if it was 50 feet. It would have made no difference, right? So the point that he actually just came to just promote himself and make it sound like he was doing something, and he's just making a complete Burke of himself. And this is what I wanted to point out, and I wanted to ask him, you know, I mean,
Nathan,
what do you mean to accurately measure the height of above the water? Is he taking the piss?
Nathan, put the link public. I'll watch the back door. Let's see if we can get Flat Earth Math back in.
I mean, seriously, is this guy taking the piss?
Yeah, he is. He's trolling.
Yeah. Look at this. I'm well above. Apparently, I'm well above the water here. There's the water line coming in here. Right. You can. In fact, there's the water line here. You can still see the waves coming in. And my tripod is perhaps 3 feet away from the incoming water or the outgoing water. You know, the guy's a Burke, and I actually stand in between my tripod and the water, so I'm actually practically got my left foot in the water.
Ranty, does your pole for your tripod, your center pole?
Yeah.
Does it come out and can you turn it upside down?
I don't know.
Because the reason why I ask is Mark Doxy's put something in the masturbators chat in Skype. Look at his setup. Basically, he's took his center pole out, stuck it upside down, and then put his camera back in.
We've shown it
so that it's swinging below.
We've shown it. We had it on the show.
Oh, I didn't see it, but it's a really good idea.
Bad, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it awesome?
Yeah, it's a good idea because it'll be dead stable as well. That.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably a lot more stable.
Yeah, so essentially, I wanted to ask him, is he taking the piss? Because he comes in to talk, and obviously he's not presenting his evidence for R, and he never will do. But then he's coming on to people like myself who's got this great observation and this new technique for seeing flatness, and he's arguing about my claim that I was about a foot above sea level.
It's distraction. He's failing to deal with, and that's what I said he would do. I said that he will deliberately obfuscate the point and make a point that wasn't relevant, and that's exactly what he's done.
Indeedy.
But anyway, he's not here now. But obviously he has seen the video. So if he does ever come in again, then you can ask him what he thinks of it and can he explain it.
Of course he can't.
None of them can.
So yeah, just to summarise what Charles's input was, though. So his first input was to say that all of his proof of R was based on a presupposition of R. So in other words, he has no proof of R. In the last 2,000 years, there isn't any proof of R. That's the bottom line. That's what his disclaimer admitted to. You know, I'm going to cut it out and replay it, so trust me, you'll get to hear it again.
He has no proofs, but he has a lot of R.
Hey, Charles.
Humans.
Is that the real Charles?
Hey, I'm back in.
Good. Right, I'm going to go on mute because I know Anthony and
there's that
Ranty.
second sleep warrior. What's going on?
No, I think it's Anthony.
Pardon?
No, that's the real Anthony. Don't snipe him.
It's me, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a very good question. The thing is, I hope it didn't sound like I was attacking your observation at the beach. It looks like you are very close to the water level. So I wasn't saying that, oh, it looks like you're 6 feet or 10 feet above the water. It looks like you're a foot or so. All I was trying to say is that when you make those kinds of observations, try to determine what your observer height is, your exact observer height. You could hire a kid who's wearing bathing whatever to walk through the surf, and then you just see where the horizon intersects his body. That's all I was saying. Oh, did everyone leave?
Hello? Give me a second, Charles.
I think everyone got sniped.
Yeah, unfortunately. Sorry about that, Charles.
Oh, that's quite all right. It looked like everybody. Did everyone get sniped or something?
Yeah, everyone but yourself.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So Nathan, I would love to speak to you like a gentleman. I really would. I think we got off on the wrong foot. You and I have been friends for acquaintances for 2 years, and I feel bad that there's this animosity. I'd like us to have a conversation where it's like you two people just talking. We disagree with each other, sure, but we can talk without yelling.
What are you talking about? I've asked you for proof
Well,
of R, and you don't have any. All you have is a bag full of presupposition.
It was more like, demanding that I prove R, even though I did not use R anywhere in my video, and that's really what started the whole thing.
Yeah, you did.
I never ever
did. Why
used
do you
R
keep
in that
denying
video.
that you've
You
used it?
started demanding
Why
that
do
I
you keep
prove
denying
R.
that you use R? Why is that?
I'm sorry. I couldn't hear you. What?
Why do you keep denying that you used R?
I never used R in that video.
So
ever.
It appears about 12 times.
I took a screenshot, a static screenshot of a calculator that I never used.
What are you talking
about?
Yeah,
but when you reference an authority and you don't use it,
I said it was used in the flat Earth debate because I see you using it all the time. So I see you guys using the Metabunk one. I see you guys using the GitHub one. So I said that, hey, this is here's a calculator, Earth curve calculator that's used in the flat Earth debate, or I forget my exact
but your
words.
next line was,
but I never actually used it. I just screen capped it.
Charles, your next line was,
yes.
The first thing you have to consider is your observer height, and that's not correct, is it?
Well, if you are going to use an Earth curve calculator, the two inputs are observer height and distance,
and R,
right?
And R.
I'm talking about an Earth curve calculator.
R is already predetermined in the calculator. That's the
not
point.
A Mars curve calculator or a Moon curve calculator. An Earth curve
don't
calculator.
Don't be so bloody facetious. What are you
Sure.
talking about? Are we talking about measuring bloody Mars? This is why I get annoyed with you.
But Nathan, it's a calculator that has the radius of the Earth built in. And so if you're going to use that calculator, you need to have accurate distance, accurate observer height. Okay, if you're going to use a calculator, you don't have to use a calculator. You can reject.
That's his point, though, Charles.
The Earth is a sphere. You can reject all that. That's fine.
Right, and if you do reject all that, which is according to you fine, you can then go and make a few observations which prove absolutely nothing. And if you want to just take R as being actually correct, then you can just presuppose it if you choose to.
Yeah, but Nathan, I think you're missing my point. You can actually prove R with a two-step process.
No, you cannot.
But it seems that you reject step one, and I don't really understand that. If you wanted to figure out R for yourself, it's a two-step process. But you reject step one.
Tell us step one.
So step one is figuring out the shape of the Earth.
Okay.
Step two is figuring out the size of the Earth. It's really simple. But you reject.
Wait. Stop. Sure. How do we do step one before we get to step two?
You perform an extensive series of careful observations.
Right.
That will
and we're finding that
where you can conclude nothing other than the correct shape of the Earth.
Right. We're
Whether
finding
you want to call them experiments or
18
observations
miles.
is up to you.
Charles, we're finding that when Soundly tells us at 18 miles, we see the level of curvature demonstrated on his video. We're not finding that to be the case. When we do our observations, we're finding that they, for all intensive purposes, appear to be flat, no curve. Now, whether they are actually flat or not is not my point. My point is we're not validating up his experiment results or his observation results. We should get consistently the same values when we do the similar kind of experiment, but we're not getting it for all intensive purposes.
Yeah, and then the reason why you're not getting it is it's hard to see. It's hard to see. The reason why Lake Pontchartrain is so special is that there is a row of power pylons that are, 200 feet tall and 26 miles long in a straight line. I mean,
let's see how hard it is to see 18 miles
where you could find a set of power pylons like that. And so you could actually see this line. You also have this causeway. It has a couple bridges on it, but
Charles, you just made a statement that you said it was hard to see. So Ranty's now going to present how hard it is to see 18 miles.
No. It's not hard to see 18 miles. It's hard to see curvature over 18 miles. That's why the row of power pylons gives you a reference. It gives you like a marker. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
It's not hard to see curvature, Charles, if Soundly's showing it as like a basketball, but Ranty's got the same distance and it's flat as a pancake. There is zero curvature.
But the only reason why it looks like a basketball is because you've got a line drawn. It's like you've got an etched line that's drawn across it. Either that line is the causeway or the row of power pylons. If you take all of Soundly's images, I mean, seriously, take all of Soundly's images and just digitize out the power lines, digitize out the causeway, and what you end up with is something that looks flat. Okay? Literally, that's what you could do. You would end up with a flat horizon, flat looking water. You've got no curvature visible, but that's only if you eliminate the power lines.
Okay,
reason why
I'll
the
give you
power
that.
lines are so
So
special
you've got to give
is
me
it gives you like
the
this
two
extra
composite
line
parts
that-
for your curve
Do
calcs.
you want to talk through whatever you've got on screen right now?
Who, me?
Yeah, you've got it up on screen. So, Anthony, I don't
Yeah,
know
I
if
mean,
you wanted to make the example
yeah,
or
if
what.
soundly seeing curve at 18 miles, I'm not seeing any curve at 18 miles.
Or bulge.
Or bulge. It's pretty flat. There's the cresting wave. You know, clearly as flat Earth math says, I'm about 40 feet or something. Was it? I don't know. What elevation would you prefer me to be? Flat Earth math. Because you did make a comment on the video because you weren't happy with my observer height of a foot.
You're on mute at the moment, Charles.
Maybe he's gone to mute. Maybe he just doesn't want to answer this question. 18 miles and it's flat. We're seeing down to the rocks. A nice little big rock there in front of the building. We're seeing the sand dunes.
Charles, any comment?
We're beneath the
Sorry,
refraction zone.
I would put myself on mute. Yeah, there's this person, the sniper person that keeps coming in and eliminating folks. I'm not really sure what's going on there. It's like a red icon and it says like sniper on deck or something. Yeah, the person just keeps coming on over and over again.
I wouldn't worry about it, Charles. You know.
Okay, so the point that I'm trying to make is that this video that we're watching is
an image.
Valuable data. It's valuable information. But if I were to present something like this on my channel, it would say, well, no, what's your independent variable? What's your hypothesis? This is not following the scientific method.
That's because we are not in accordance with the body of science, Charles. Do you understand that? We are not in a position to assert that it's flat and we are backed by science. You guys assert that all the time. So when we ask for scientific evidence of the sphere that you presuppose, that is why.
Sphere. I never, ever, ever presuppose a sphere.
Yeah, you had a R value on all of your calculations, and you told people it was very important to get the eye height, and then you inputted that value into a mathematical calculation that presupposes you have curvature. So you have a radius value, and you are using that value in your videos and telling people, so long as they get the eye height, which is really important, correct, then they can go and presuppose curvature.
Value my videos. Oh my goodness, Nathan. Please don't tell people that's not true. I show people how they can figure out the shape of the Earth. I don't care the size of the Earth.
Right, you tell them to go and presuppose it and go and use a curve calculator that has a radius value. So you've already presupposed that it's a curved Earth on that calculation.
Saying is, if you use the curvature calculator, you have to have accurate inputs.
Right, and the curve calculator, as I keep saying, presupposes that you have a radius, and you have absolutely sod all proof of it other than a bag full of presupposition.
Nathan, do you understand the two-step process? Because every time I mention the two-step process, you talk about 2,000 years of science. What if you just wanted to start from the beginning?
I don't.
What if you didn't?
How many times have I got to say it? You already accept that you are on a sphere and you already have a value of R for it. So I don't need to do anything going forward. I don't want to know what I can do going forward if science and the body of science already accepts that as fact. I want to know what you've got to actually demonstrate it now, given the fact that you already accept it. You already have calculations. You already have NASA planning trajectories using this value to plan them. So if you want to claim that Earth's a sphere and you've already got a bloody value for R, prove that value. If you don't want to claim we're on a sphere and claim that we can all go and do things going forward, that's nonsense. We're not starting from scratch. We already have an acceptance. An acceptance that the body of science says we're on a sphere and it gives it a value. R, radius.
Okay. So here's a question for you, Nathan. Do you want me to start with the Earth is a globe and I can figure out R?
No! What kind of a moron are you? Are you literally going to ask my permission to beg the question?
So, if you want to
acknowledge what I've just said to you, Muppet.
I think.
Am I allowed to start with it being a sphere? Am I literally allowed to beg the question here? No, Charles.
Okay, so we're not allowed to start with it being a sphere.
No, you're not allowed to beg the question, you bloody idiot.
No. Well, all I'm saying is it's a two-step process, and it all depends.
How many times have you got to say it's a two-step process, and how many times have I got to say I don't give a crap what you claim we can do going forward when we already have an acceptance of R?
All right, so if R is acceptance, then why do we have to prove it? That's the part I guess.
Oh, right. We can just accept it and go forward because the priests say it's right.
No. He said if R is accepted, it isn't accepted,
right.
Charles.
We don't accept it, Charles. That's why we're asking you to prove it.
Stop saying it's accepted. If you don't accept it,
no, we're not saying it's accepted.
Does
we're
that
not
make sense?
saying it's accepted. Why do you think that?
All right. I mean, so that's why I'm saying if you want to start, if you want to start with from first principles with zero presuppositions, then I'm happy to take you down that path. Oops.
Fine.
Well, I'm not interested in that path. How many times have I got to say it? You already accept you are on a sphere.
No, hang on a sec, Nath. If he's happy to go down the path without a presupposition, let's see the path that he takes us down.
We've already been down it. He says we can go down a canal, look down a 6-mile stretch.
Well, yeah. That was the first thing I said because I think it was Arwen or something. So we weren't allowed to look at the sky. Not quite sure why that is. If you're not allowed to look at the sky, are you allowed to look at things on the horizon?
America. Yep.
Yesa.
Can you add Nummy to this call if he's not on already, Anthony?
I can. I think Yesa's in chat, isn't he?
Just tell him to. Yeah, he tried to join the actual call. I'm just getting every time I look away for a second or two, the whole hangout gets muted. So Charles doesn't get to hear what we're saying.
No, the sniper on deck
this as well.
Seems to be very active.
Yeah. Every time I point out that you have a bag full of presupposition for the R value that is already accepted and has been for the last 2,000 years, we get a sniper.
But you reject that, right? But you reject that. So
yeah, completely.
let's stop with, let's stop saying that it's accepted. If you don't accept it, that's fine. I'm happy to throw it out the window. But what I'm trying to tell you, Nathan, is it's a two-step process. And what I can't figure out for the life of me is that you refuse to want to start at step one. You want to jump into step two.
What's step one? Assume
step
we're on a
figure out
sphere.
the shape of the Earth.
Assume the
without
sphere.
Any presuppositions.
So
Step
what you're
one
saying
figuring
is
out the shape
the
of the
two-step process is step one, beg the question.
No,
Presuppose you're on
no
a bloody
begging
sphere.
The question. There's no begging the question.
That's the
Nathan.
definition. You've just said presuppose you're on a sphere is step one.
No, I did not say presuppose you're. No, Nathan, I said figure out the shape of the Earth is step one.
Oh, right.
Oh my goodness. Figure out the shape of the Earth.
So how do we do
step
that?
One.
How'd you do
Once
that?
you figured out the shape of the Earth.
How do you do that then,
Then
Charles?
you can figure out the size of the Earth.
How do you do that then? How do you figure out the shape? How do you figure it out?
What'd you say?
How do you do that?
How do you work it out? What is the shape?
If you performed the 15 observations on my channel, you would conclude nothing other than the correct shape of the Earth, which is a globe. Okay.
So in
Whether
that case, then, why is this
observations,
observation of Ranty's wrong?
So sorry. The first step is to go through that 15-step process on your channel and conclude it's a globe,
stop
correct?
Anytime,
Sorry,
you could stop any time. At some point, you're going to conclude the Earth's a globe.
So the step one, step one is to go through the 15-step process on your channel and conclude it's a sphere, correct?
No, and figure out the shape of the Earth. I'm not telling you to conclude it's a sphere. I'm telling you that you will be able to figure it out on your own.
All right,
so step one is to figure out the shape of the Earth.
Step one on his 15-step then. What's step one, Charles?
Well, I mean, my channel's got, I don't know how many experiments or
start with number one and tell us what we do.
How many explorations?
Just tell us. Right? What's step one?
What did you say?
What's step one in your 15-step process on your channel?
Well, observing the sun. Now, observing the size of the sun is not going to tell you that you're on a globe. It's going to tell you that the sun is really, really far away.
Why?
Okay.
Why does that have anything to do with proving we're on a globe? Step one doesn't prove we're on a globe.
Again, if you're interested in the truth, you're going to look for the truth. If you just want to reject an observation because you don't
listen
think
to what I've just said. Step one in your 15-step process does not conform with us being on a sphere. Shout out to Dank for the super chat. So step 1, useless. Doesn't prove we're on a sphere, Charles. What's step 2?
Step 1 isn't supposed to prove. Oh my goodness! You mean
give me any of the 15 steps. Hold on, Charles. Give me any of the 15 steps that prove we're on a sphere. Any.
Well, but here's the thing: you got to put them together.
No, give me any. Well, step 1 hasn't proved we're on a sphere. Now I want to hear any of the other steps that do.
Okay, so Nathan, I don't know. Do you remember? Did you take experimental chemistry when you were in like high school?
Don't obfuscate my point. What's step 2?
It's an analogy.
In your 15-step process, what's step 2, Charles?
Can you give me 30 seconds for an analogy?
No, I want to hear what you've just told my audience. For the love of God, man. You've just told my audience that they can go to your channel and perform a 15-step process, and at the end of it, there'll be a conclusion that they're on a sphere. So, we've got to step 1, which includes looking at the sun and proves absolutely sod all. Now I'm asking you to go to step 2 in your 15-step process.
The sun is really far away. Okay, which doesn't prove.
Yeah, we've got to that crap bit of your evidence that doesn't prove we're on a globe. Now I want the next one. Next.
So now we're on step 2, right? Step 2, which is, I don't know, observe the azimuth of the sunrise and the sunset.
Azimuth? Okay? That's begging the question, though, isn't it? You're going to beg the question straight away.
Yeah, the thing is, begging the question means that like you're making some sort of an assumption going in, or you're proving something.
Are you not making an assumption with the azimuth?
Listen to me, Charles. You complete retard. Right? An azimuth is an angular measurement in a spherical coordinate system, you complete idiot. So your second step in your 15-step process also begs the bloody question. You are quite literally the most stupid man I have ever encountered, Charles. Step 2 begs the question. Do you get it, you complete idiot?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, real quick. I think what Charles is trying to say is that.
Hold on, Issa. Do you get it, Charles? You complete idiot. Why are you laughing at me, you complete idiot?
I really don't. I don't think you're understanding what I'm saying.
Right, I'll say it for the audience again, because Charles is retarded. Second step: azimuth is an angular measurement in a spherical coordinate system. Yeah? It begs the question, you stupid idiot. Yeah? You're using azimuth and it begs the question.
Azimuths work fine on a.
Oh, you stupid man. Telling me now that it works fine on a flat earth. You are literally retarded, Charles.
So, Charles, you're arguing that there's some quantity of presuppositional arguments that somehow, and with enough presuppositional arguments that it equals a proof?
That sounds like exactly what it is.
No, it's called the cosmological, it's called the Newtonian principle.
I do not use the word proof. I really try to.
Well, you're saying that we can know with certainty that the Earth is a globe if we do your 15 observations. So that's not proof? So we can't know that the Earth's a globe by doing your 15 observations. Is that what you're saying now? You're changing your story?
You don't have to do all 15. You stop whenever you figure it out.
I'll stop at number 2 because it begs the question. So far, you've had number 1 prove absolutely sod all. You're just looking at the sun. Then we move on to step 2 where you literally beg the question immediately. Right? So far, absolute garbage from your 15-step process. Absolute garbage, Charles.
How about the wagon wheel effect of the moon?
Here we go, wagon wheel effect of the moon. This is a waste of time.
You made an observation of the sun, yes?
Thanks for the super chat, Redfield Philosophy.
You hear me, Charles?
We hear you.
Very good. So I think why you're causing a problem is because you began with the first step. You said make an observation. We understood that's science. And then you went on to something else. So what we're asking is, has this or is this heliocentric model been proven with science? That's what we want to know.
Yes.
It's science, true science, yes?
Yes, but you don't have to accept the science. You could figure it out yourself.
Not science. It has no independent variable. Scientific method. Doesn't follow the scientific method. Absolutely, unequivocally, definitely not science.
So, I could have sworn that about an hour ago, when we were studying this clock tower footage, that you were talking about how this is cutting edge science.
Charles, please stick to your point, because you were on the first step. You said you made an observation. Okay, nobody knows what the shape is. We're not going to make any presuppositions. Yes, and you see the sun do something.
Right.
Okay. So what do you suppose the next step would be when you've made an observation in science? Forget your steps, or you can add your steps. But in science, generally, we've made an observation. Okay. First step. What is next in your mind? What do we do next? We need to make sense of this observation.
It sounds like this is now going to be a semantic argument, kind of like with quantum eraser. The thing is, the body of science is not like this cut and dried, like you have to follow this 12-step procedure. I mean, there's a lot of variety. There's a lot of variability. Scientific method can have 7 steps. It can have 8 steps.
That's total nonsense. Science is a method. That's utter nonsense.
So you're saying you don't have to use science to know if we're on a
you don't have to use a scientific method.
Yo, real quick, okay, guys, I think we're going to get lost in the sauce if we don't address what is deductive versus inductive. And shout out to No One's Flower, because the idea is that, Charles, what happens is that using the deductive idea, you're starting with the theory. Using with the inductive, you're starting with the observation. The point is that to argue for the ball, it is it's both. It can be argued from both. But Charles, you're arguing it from a deductive point and starting with the theory, versus concluding inductively that we've put together, let's say Charles's 16 experiments are an inductive approach at proving the sphericity of the Earth. Wouldn't that be true, Charles?
I'm not entirely sure that I have a good grasp of inductive.
What I'm trying to say is, like, let's say
deductive.
if we start off with the observation that, let's say, the Earth looks level at the horizon, then
Yes.
like, you know, we're inductively, we're not just going to let that be alone in the like all the other information is going to come into play, which allows us to infer that we live on a sphere. The flat Earth is using that first observation inductively to prove that there is no, or to show evidence that there is no sphericity. But it doesn't mean that it's like this kind of observation, as I've always said, how dare you use an optical phenomenon to confirm the shape of the Earth alone? And this is where, used in conjunction with the operations of the stars that we understand, the azimuth you were representing or talking about, this is what inductively makes us come to the conclusion of the sphericity.
You have to acknowledge that if you make an observation, sometimes that observation can go 2 ways. So, for example, if I look at the horizon looks flat. There's 2 possibilities. One is that the Earth is flat, and the other one is the Earth is really, really big. You know, a really big sphere. I mean, and there's probably a whole ton of other possibilities as well. But there are multiple possibilities for.
So Charles, can you just kind of touch upon what you would expect to see on a flat Earth then? If it were flat, you see the sun, what would you expect to see?
We're getting a bit of a mute fest, unfortunately, so I think it's probably about the right moment to round out the show. So with that, I'm going to say, first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in, sharing, super chatting. If you've not done so already, be sure to like, comment, share and subscribe. Also, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!